Welkom bij Juni Vibes. Voel jij dat het tijd is om dichter bij jezelf te komen? Onze Juni Vibes app is nu live. Met de beste meditaties, live sessies van geweldige teachers, cursussen, masterclasses en je kunt je gaan verbinden met duizenden gelijkgestemden. Ga daarvoor naar onze website www.junivibes.nl of download gratis onze Juni Vibes app en probeer de app 7 dagen lang gratis uit. Kijk Vibestalk bijvoorbeeld zonder reclame en kijk Vibestalk extra. En dan bouwen we samen met jou aan een prachtig mooi mediaplatform om bewustzijn te kunnen gaan verspreiden. En hopelijk word je member, zodat wij dit soort gesprekken kunnen blijven maken met een geweldig team van mensen. Want we zijn zelf de creatiekracht, dames en heren. Maar we kunnen dit alleen maar samen doen met jou. Maar probeer hem nu gratis uit. Dus ga naar onze website of download de app gratis in de App Store. Dankjewel. Welkom thuis.
It's been 29 years. I had the whole family in the car. It was me, it was my wife, and it was our 2 young boys. And I just happened to glance in the rearview mirror. The first thing I noticed was Griffin, my youngest son. He was 14 months, just a toddler, but in a glance, I noticed how long his eyelashes were, and he was sleeping so peacefully. I had been restful, but I believe I dozed off at the wheel.
Okay.
And the first thing I heard was Spencer, my 7-year-old, and he was crying in the back seat. That's when I realized I could not move. I was aware of everything that was around me. I wasn't aware of my injuries, what had actually happened. Tamara and Griffin, my wife and youngest son, were killed instantly in the accident. How can I get those 3 seconds back? I mean, what happened? So the panic, the terror.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Tamara, my wife, who I knew was deceased at the scene, she's there in the light with me. She kept saying, Jeff, you can't stay, you've got to go back. And, then it's like I'm whooshed. Suddenly I find myself moving about a very busy level 1 trauma center, emergency hospital.
Welcome to a new episode of Vibestalk, in which I'm exploring the unseen, energy, the subtle realms of consciousness, and everything that lays beneath our daily reality. And today I'm speaking with a very special guest, Jeffery Olsen. Jeffery had a severe accident almost 29 years ago, and he lost half of his family. His wife and his youngest son died instantly in this terrible car accident. What happened next will give you chills.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
Well, I'm super happy that you're here because I wanted to talk to you for quite a while now. And I read your book, of course, you know that, I told you. And I'm very interested in your story because it's such a beautiful story. It's such a terrible story also on the other side, of course. And I'm just, Jeffery, I'm just for our people, the people that don't know you yet in Holland, because it's been 25 years now, right? 25 years, I think, that the accident happened. And that you
it's been 29 years.
29 years, okay. Oh my God, that's a long time.
Almost 3 decades.
Yeah.
And I've been to Holland a couple of times, and I love it. I have friends in Amsterdam. And my favorite part, though, is out in the country. Out in the country of Holland is magical.
Really? And what part? Can you tell me?
I don't know. I was with Dr. Pim van Lamel.
Yeah,
there.
yeah, we know.
We spoke out in the country, And then I also have a dear friend, Lisette Schuchtmaker, who lives right in Amsterdam, but she also was connected to these little societies out in the woods. Like we would go out into the countryside, and we met in a big windmill for one event. And then we met, it was a glass pyramid event center, and Dr. Pim and I spoke there. But I love your country. I love your people too. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. That's really nice to hear. Yeah, and Dr. Pim van Lommel, I mean, he's done amazing work. I've been to his lectures as well, and I think he's also been on the show once.
Good.
An amazing, interesting guy, and and this is of course in your field. I mean, this must be why you connected also, I guess. Could you tell us a little bit about your story? Because I have a million questions, of course, but just for the people who don't know your story, could you tell us what happened?
Oh, wow. Yes. And it's been almost, it's been 29 years.
Yeah.
So almost 3 decades. And it's interesting because I couldn't speak about this story for 10 years.
Yes.
It was too painful. It was too emotional. Yeah. And I didn't want people to think I was crazy. You know, I mean, the only people that really knew was my very close friends and my very intimate family. But almost 30 years ago, I was in a terrible automobile accident.
Yeah.
And I had the whole family in the car. It was me, it was my wife, and it was our 2 young boys. And we had been on a vacation. We'd been on holiday down in southern Utah to see all the red rocks and the beautiful things there. And we lived in the northern part of Utah. And we were returning home on a Monday morning. It was right after the Easter weekend. And we were coming back. We'd had a beautiful holiday. And it's interesting. There's things about that day, although it's been almost 30 years, that I will always remember. And I had loaded the family in the car. I had put all the luggage in. I had the kids buckled in their car seats. We had said our goodbyes. We were staying with her parents. And I was just pulling away from the curb. Everybody was in the car, and I was just pulling away from the curb. And my wife, Tamara, said, "Stop, wait." And, you know, and I thought, oh, she must have forgot something. Her handbag's in the kitchen, you know.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'm like, okay, I stopped the car. And she looked at me and she said, "I just want to say goodbye to Mom and Dad one more time."
It were her parents that you visited.
Her parents, yeah. And, you know, her parents, Grandma and Grandpa, were there waving on the porch, you know, the way they do.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I mean, I'll admit in that moment, I thought, oh, come on, we've already said goodbye. Let's get on the road and go. But she was earnest. I want to go say goodbye. And I stopped the car. And she jumped out, and I watched as she ran up to them. And she not only hugged them, she kissed them both, which was not unordinary. And she joyfully came back and jumped in the car. But here's the reason I want to share that. I remembered that because she must have had a feeling. She must have had a whisper. There was an inspiration or an intuition. I want to go say goodbye one more time. And what I love and honor about that moment is she did it. Yeah. You know, stop, wait. I'm, you know, I think so often those messages come in, and we you know, we out that
and we don't
silly.
Listen. Yes, we don't.
Yeah,
act.
we don't listen, and we certainly don't act. Yeah. And she acted. Stop, wait. And she jumped in the car. I'll always remember that, watching and noticing as she hugged them and kissed them. And gosh, she jumped in the car. We got out onto the interstate. I cranked it up to 75 miles per hour, which is as fast as you can legally go here. I was hurrying. I wanted to get home. I was missing a day of work. I was worried about all the things that were going on. And I had a moment as well. I was, you know, all that chatter in your head about, you know, I'm missing a day of work. I've got to call this guy. I've got to make this up. And I just happened to glance in the rearview mirror just to see if there was traffic, what was going on. And as I glanced in the rearview mirror of the car, the first thing I noticed was Griffin, my youngest son. And he was sound asleep in his car seat.
How old was he?
He was 14 months, just a toddler, just a little guy. He was just barely starting to talk and walk. And yet, when I noticed him, it was interesting. It's like time just stood still. And there he was. And he was a miracle boy. We were told we may not have more children after Spencer, but here this other son had come in. And I noticed details in a glance. I mean, this was a moment, but in a glance, I noticed how long his eyelashes were, how his hands were folded on the little car seat thing, and he was sleeping so peacefully.
And still you remember this.
I remember this. Yeah. And it, like I say, it was a different energy. It's like time stopped. And then I heard my oldest son, Spencer, who was 7, and he was playing with action figures. I mean, all the joyful noise of a little boy. Mm. And I glanced over at my wife, Tamara, and she had also reclined her seat and was sound asleep. But she was still holding onto my hand. And I thought, wow, we're 10 years into this marriage. We're both chasing our careers and raising these children. And she's still holding my hand. And I was filled with this moment of gratitude. Okay. And I'll always remember that too. I'll remember her goodbye. I'll remember this moment of gratitude. And of course, my attention went back to the road. Yeah. And it was about an hour after that everything came undone. And there was reports of heavy crosswinds. I remember it being very windy. There was reports of a red pickup truck that was driving erratically on the highway. One of the most difficult things in sharing this story, and one of the most difficult things for me to overcome, is I believe what happened is I nodded off at the wheel.
Okay.
I just dozed off. And, there's no excuse for that. I've replayed that so many times, I mean, I was a young father. I was 33 years old. I was working those 12, 14, 16-hour days, and yet we had been on holiday. I had been restful, but I believe I dozed off at the wheel. And just for a minute, just in nodding off, I swerved to the right. I overcorrected to the left, and I lost control of the vehicle.
Was it when you woke up again that you overcorrected? So it was just a split second that it happened, actually.
Yeah, it was just kind of a boom, and then boom, and then I lost control, and the car began to roll.
Yeah, geez.
Not off the road, but down the road on that hard concrete at 75 miles an hour. It was a horrific accident.
Yeah, my God, really.
Yeah, the accident reports say the car rolled at least 6 to 8 times. I blacked out for the actual rolling. I don't recall. I was aware, we're crashing. But when the car came to a stop, I was completely aware, completely alert. And the first thing I heard was Spencer, my 7-year-old, and he was crying in the back seat, hysterically crying in the back seat. And I thought, I've got to get to my boy. I've got to get to my son. And that's when I realized I could not move. And I was aware of everything that was around me.
Jesus.
However, I was pinned, and I was losing consciousness, and I was struggling to breathe. But the adrenaline was so powerful, I wasn't aware of my injuries. What had actually happened was both of my legs had been crushed. My left leg was amputated above the knee. My back had been damaged. My rib cage had been damaged. My lungs were collapsing. My right arm had nearly been completely torn off.
Oh my God, really? Wow.
And then the seatbelt or something had cut right through my midsection and ruptured all my insides.
Yeah.
So I was in a bad way. I was unaware of all that with the adrenaline. All I knew is my son was crying, and I had to get to my son.
But were you upside down, or were you in the right position?
It's interesting. I have just recently, in fact, this may be the first time I've publicly shared that, there was people that stopped, that rushed to the scene. Innocent, they didn't know us. They just saw that a car had crashed, and they came to the scene of the accident. And the man was a physician, and the woman, his wife, was like a psychologist. And And they pulled off the road and the physician rushed. I have just recently found out because they've recounted to me what they found. They recall the car being on the driver's side, you know, sitting on its side.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually, I had somehow come out. I was under the car. That's why I was pinned. And that's why probably my lower half was so badly crushed and damaged and ripped open. I was under the car. So yes, I was pinned under the car with extensive injuries. The physician, where I was life-flighted, he said I had to be extricated from the car, but obviously, yeah, they had to get me from under that car.
Yeah.
Tamara and Griffin, my wife and youngest son, were killed instantly in the accident. They had suffered head trauma, which took their lives. And I knew that. I knew that at the scene. It was the weirdest, horriblest, darkest place a man could be. Here I am pinned. I can't get to my 7-year-old, but he's crying, so I'm assuming he's okay, or at least he's alive.
Yeah.
I'm losing consciousness. Half the family's gone. And I was driving the car. I mean, the regret, the guilt, the...
Already at that moment? Did you already get that?
Oh, yeah. It's like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
How can I get, how can I get those 3 seconds back? I mean, what happened? So the panic, the terror, the horror of all of that. And I don't share that to be morbid or graphic. And, you know, after 30 years, it's still difficult to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the darkest place I could ever be. But I share that because of the contrast. Here I am in this absolute horror, this terror. And I felt light come. Like light came to me. I felt it. It's like light came. Light surrounded me. I felt as if I was comforted in that trauma. It felt as if I was rising above the accident scene. And I was a little bit confused, like, what's going on? And once I came to terms with, wow, what is this light? I can breathe. I'm not in pain. I'm okay. How can I be okay? And this is where I'm processing this.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Tamara, my wife, who I knew was deceased at the scene, she's there in the light with me. And she's very much alive. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. She doesn't have any of the injuries I witnessed in the accident. And she's so alive. And she begins communicating with me that I've got to go back. She kept saying, Jeff, you can't stay. You can't stay. You've got to go back. And it almost felt physical. Like I could feel her. Like she would push my chest and say, you got to go back. You can't stay. And then she would pull me in close. And it was very sensory. We're crying. I can taste her tears. I mean, it's really an interesting experience because it feels very third dimensional, but it's beyond that. It's fifth, sixth dimensional where, wow, we're having the emotions and sharing the words and seeing the tears, but it's so much more real.
Yes.
I mean, after experiencing that, like this is the foggy, weird dream. That was reality. And
I think this is something that many people share in what you experienced in people who had those near-death experiences. This is really something that's very common. What they say is that this is not reality, what we are in. That is reality. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said. That's what it felt like. Oh, this is real. Yeah. But I've got to come back. And we had the conversation and we made the choice that I would come back. Now, for whatever reason, she couldn't. Her injuries were extensive, but I could come back, and we chose that I would come back. And
what a hard choice to make, right? At that moment.
It's a hard choice.
Yeah.
That's a hard choice. And that is the most difficult goodbye I ever said. Yeah. I wanted to stay. I mean, here I was looking at the woman I loved more than life. And yet I knew I had a little boy in the backseat of that car. And she told me, you've got to go raise him. He's going to be okay. We don't want to leave him orphaned. No. And we made a choice, and I chose to come back. And we have no idea how powerful our thoughts are, our intentions. I mean, here I was, well, how do you come back? How does one?
How? Yeah.
And I didn't have to figure that out. As soon as I had the thought, the intention, okay, I'm going back, and the goodbye is said. And, then it's like I'm whooshed. I'm just suddenly I find myself moving about a very busy level 1 trauma center, emergency hospital.
Yeah.
And I have no concept of time in this bubble of light, in this goodbye.
No.
I later found out people arrived at the scene, which I indicated. And the woman that was there has been a dear friend, and her husband too, and they're in my life.
Amazing. Yeah.
But I was later told that, yes, people arrived at the scene. I was extricated from the car. I had to be airlifted or life flighted to the nearest level 1 trauma center. I didn't know any of those details. I knew I'd crashed the car. I knew half the family is gone. I knew I'd said this profound goodbye. I knew my oldest son, Spencer, was going to be okay. Yeah. And here I am, at this hospital, wandering around. But the interesting thing about it, and I was out of the body, of course. I mean, my soul is moving about the hospital, and I'm encountering everything.
But you were aware at that hospital. When you came there, you were aware, but not in your body.
Yeah, I was very much aware. My consciousness was keen, and that's what was so interesting.
Yeah.
I was aware of everything.
Okay.
It's like I had 360-degree awareness of the doctors, the nurses, the patients, the families of the other patients. I mean, all these things, there was a knowing and there was a connection. Like everyone I saw, I knew them. I loved them. They were strangers in this realm. I mean, for instance, a nurse passed by me, boom, unaware of me completely. But in a moment, I knew everything. I knew her love. I knew her challenges. I knew her motivations. I knew her anger. I knew everything about her life. I experienced almost as if it was a part of my life. I was aware of the abuse that she had received as a child in a very keen way.
Wow.
And yet in that same moment, here I am seeing her. I'm like, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
She's magnificent. Here she is serving and healing and helping in a hospital. Yeah. And it was true of everyone I saw. I knew everything about, there was no judgment.
And
I knew
everything in a split second? It's just that you just knew? That's it? Awareness and knowing. Yeah.
Yeah. Spontaneously. I knew.
Wow.
And with that knowing was so much love and so much respect and so much honor. And I was experiencing this. I was even aware of other patients. It's like, well, it was a oneness. There was a connection.
Yeah.
And I finally came upon a body, a man laying on the gurney, that the body was so badly beaten and swollen, but I didn't feel anything from that body. I thought, well, that's interesting because I'm completely connected to everything and everyone.
That was you.
I stepped forward to take a closer look, and that's when it's like, oh my gosh, that's me.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
That must
and yet
have
it
been
wasn't
weird.
Me. I was having this connected experience, but there was my body.
Yeah.
There was my. I now say the skin suit. That I had been going about mortality in, and I will share. There was such a reverence for my body, and such overwhelming sadness in seeing the state of it, because I had taken it for granted. I had been a Division I footballer. My body was at my command. I was healthy. I was lean. I was strong. I was fast, all those things. But here I was looking at this mass that was so swollen and so broken and so unrecognizable. And I thought, wow, I took it for granted.
But how could you have known? I mean, that's not something that we learn, do we? I mean, right?
No.
No.
I mean, yeah, how do you learn? It's like, wow, I never realized. I never saw the miracle that my body is, that our bodies are. I mean, it's like I didn't have to teach my eyes how to see.
No.
You know, I didn't have to remind my heart to beat or think about my lungs breathing, and my feet just knew how to run. How, you know, I was marveling at, wow, I had all that. And now I got to get back in it. And it's broken badly. And it changed me. There's not a step I take that I don't think, wow, this is a miracle. And it kind of is. But then back in the body. And again, thoughts, intentions. I mean, I didn't have to figure out how do I get back in. Just I'm going in and then, you know, back to the weight. Oh, the heaviness, the pain, the trauma, the grief, the guilt, the regret, all of that returned so heavily. And I was ventilated. There was a big tube down my throat doing the breathing, and my legs were obviously immobile, having been crushed. My right arm was immobile. They eventually tied down my left hand because I kept grabbing at all the medical equipment.
Wow.
And there I was. I mean, I was in the hospital for almost 6 months.
Yes, yes,
I had 18 surgeries in all, putting me back.
That's
together.
Ridiculous. Wow. Yeah.
And
your leg was not amputated at the it wasn't cut off at the accident, right? It happened later.
Oh, yeah, it was cut off I believe about 5 days later.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
quite quick actually. Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to save both legs, and they were able to save the right leg.
Yeah.
However, it's got 6 pins and a plate in it, and the circulation's funky. And but the left leg, they could not get the blood flow. I mean, the gory details, it became gangrenous.
Yeah.
And they just had to take it. And there's a story to that. You know, my brothers were my heroes. They showed up and sat with me in the hospital. They practically lost their jobs to be with their brother.
Really? Jeez.
And, you know, they knew, I mean, they were athletes as well. And the doctor told them, look, either we cut his leg off today or you're going to bury him this weekend.
Oh, wow.
It was killing me. And it's interesting because they didn't want to shoulder the burden anyone alone. I believe they both signed the document to do the procedure and take off my leg.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful, though, that they were able to do that. Yeah.
They were there. My brothers are my heroes, and they've always been there. They walked with me they still walk with me now through my dark times. And so the leg was not amputated at the accident, but it was crushed so badly. Both legs were crushed so badly, but they were able to save the right one. They had to take the left one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it saved your life probably at that moment.
It did. It certainly did. And I mean, I really should not be here. There was the infections from rupturing all my insides were horrible. They had to leave all the wounds open on my midsection for months.
Why? Why did they have to leave it open?
It was infections. Yeah. And they'd have to pack the wounds with gauze and then strip it out. And it was so painful. And I kept throwing, so the infections, and then I had temperatures up over 106 degrees, you know, I mean, then I would throw pulmonary emboli, the blood clots that lodge in your lungs. And I was in ICU. I would go into surgical recovery. I'd go back into ICU. It was a long, treacherous process. Yeah. And I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
I guess so. But do you think that the moment that you lost consciousness in the car accident and that you went towards your wife where she was, the fact that she knew that you weren't in the right place, that you couldn't stay, do you think that has to do with the fact that there is no time actually, that we're living this linear time and that we because the fact that she already knew all those, it almost feels like she had been there for a while already, while everything was instantly, right? Or how do you see that?
Oh, I've thought about that. This is such a beautiful insight. Thank you. Because, yeah, how did she know? How did she know I could come back? How did she know she couldn't? How did she know Spencer would be okay? How did she seemed to have a knowing of all of it. And I honored that. I mean, in fact, if there's one thing I've learned in my life, it's honor female intuition. Always.
Always, yes, please.
and she was emphatic that she knew. She had a knowing.
Yeah.
And I was certainly honoring of that, either in that realm or this realm. But yeah, she sent me back, and it did. It felt like she'd been there for longer than I had.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But also, do you think that this was the plan? Because, I mean, I know there is more to your story, and I also know that when you later met your new wife, that she also was a part of that. But do you think that this was something that you signed up for together before you were born into this world, before you started this life? Do you think this is something that you wanted to experience? I mean, wanting is a very big word in this, but I think you know what I mean. Is this something?
I do know what you mean. And I would not have an answer for that had I not had the experience at the end of my hospital stay. And it's worth pointing out that the two most profound experiences were at the scene of the accident, before I had a bunch of morphine and narcotics.
Yeah.
And then at the end of my hospital stay, when I was off of all the heavy narcotics, and I was basically weeks from coming home. I mean, I was in the hospital, and they had finally stabilized my abdomen so I could sleep on my side.
Wow. Jeez.
And I had laid so long on my back that I rubbed all the hair off the back of my head. I was
like a baby.
On the back of my head. Yeah, my brothers were giving me a bad time about that.
Oh, funny.
And but I was able to sleep because I typically, naturally, would sleep on my side. And I was sleeping one night, and yet I became fully aware in my sleep that I was sleeping peacefully. It's like, wow, I haven't slept peacefully for months, and I'm sleeping peacefully. And as I'm sleeping, I feel that light come again, that same light that came at the end.
Oh, weren't you scared?
Yeah, I mean, I had been in such grief. I mean, the physical trauma was one thing, but the emotional trauma, the grief, I had been so devastated.
Yeah.
And here comes this light, and it's like it's comforting me in my grief. And I begin to rise above the hospital bed, and I'm rising above the hospital bed in this bubble of light again, which I recognize from the first time it happened at the scene of the accident. But this time the light goes away, and I am in the most beautiful place, and I'm whole.
Yeah.
I mean, people say heaven, the spirit world, the other side. There's all these words. The only word that comes close to what I was experiencing is I was home. I was home. I was so comfortable. I was so welcome. And I look down and I'm whole. I have both legs and both feet. And I begin running. And I'm running. And it felt so physical. That's what's so interesting. It felt so physical. I mean, I could feel the energy of the ground beneath my toes. Yeah. I could feel the intelligence in my calves and my thighs. I mean, it was a very sensual experience.
Yeah.
And I'm running. And I'm thinking, I'm home and I'm whole, and it's over. It's like I'm here, and then I get the knowing that I'm not there to stay. And
again, oh my God,
there was like this corridor to my left, and yet I knew there was a knowing again. I knew intuitively, well, I'm to go this way, and so I made my way down this corridor, and at the end of the corridor was a crib, and I was. Interest. I'm like, wow, see Griffin, my little son, who I had not had any interactions with since the scene of the accident. He was still sleeping in a crib. He was just 14 months old. And I mean, he was mischievous. He was sneaking out of it at night and doing things like that. But I saw this crib and I'm like, oh, I've got to get to the crib. And so I raced to the crib. I looked in it and there's my little boy.
Wow.
And he's sleeping as peacefully as when I glanced in the rearview mirror. And I'm like, can this be? And I picked him up. I reached in and I swept him up. And I don't know if you've ever picked up a sleeping child.
Oh, yes. Lots of times.
Okay, so you'll know there's a heat. There's a heat and a weight to it. There's a heat and a weight to it and I could feel him solid.
Yeah.
And I could feel his little rib cage breathing, and I could feel his breath on my neck. And I leaned over, I smelled his hair.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, this is my boy. I mean, all the senses were there. All the senses were there, like, this is my boy. And I began to weep. I'm like, I'm holding him. And he's here, and he's okay, and I'm here with him. And then I felt this presence behind me, this overwhelming, cosmic, wise, powerful presence.
Did you see it as well?
Well, here's the interesting thing. I was afraid. I had grown up in a conservative Christian home. My belief was, that's God. And I'm in so much trouble.
Oh, really?
My little boy's here because I crashed the car.
Wow.
I mean, seriously.
Oh my God.
You know, his life was cut short because I dozed off or I overcorrected, and I'm feeling all this guilt, and I'm feeling this presence come closer and closer and closer, and I'm weeping and I'm holding my son, and the presence is right behind me. And I have the thought, I hope I can be forgiven.
Oh.
And it was interesting in that thought. As I had that notion, I felt these divine arms wrap around and just hold me and my little boy. And then the lid came off. Just the whole, I mean, that was a download.
Oh, yeah?
Thing of, I hope I can be forgiven. The first communication was, there's nothing to forgive. This is all in divine order. Now here, I mean, I'm like, how can that be? How can that be? I mean, he's here, I'm maimed,
Yeah.
And I began to see my life. And per your question, I'm seeing my life and I'm realizing, wow. And I'm placing judgments. Well, that was a mistake. And the divine being that held me simply said, but what did you learn? And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm still kind of asking, but why? Why would this happen? And what came through is, you created it. All the players created it.
Wow.
Your soul wanted this experience and we loved you enough to support it.
Hey, ja, sorry dat ik je stoor tijdens Vibestalk, maar wil jij nou Vibestalk kijken zonder al die ellendige reclame en wil je Vibestalk eerder kijken, dan kan dat. Word member van Univibes, download gratis onze Univibes app en kijk dus Vibestalk zonder reclame, met heel veel meer extra's en altijd een dag eerder. Dankjewel. Heel veel kijkplezier bij deel 2.
And I realized, wow, so this is my soul's journey that I created. And Griffin loved me enough to go, and Tamara loved me enough to go, and Spencer chose to stay and walk with me. I mean, it was all very crystal clear in this higher perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also tutored about choice. I was told, you have a choice. I was told you can be angry at God, the divine, the universe, whatever one wants to call it, for your whole life. And that's okay. We love you anyway. You can beat yourself up for the rest of your life because you were driving the car. Or you can exercise your will, my will. And I was confused because my upbringing was like, wait a minute, it's your will be done. I've known that since I was little.
Yeah, that's the conditioning, right?
Yeah, the conditioning. And yet the being that held me said, my will is your will. That's how much you're loved.
Wow.
My will is that you have free will, that you get to choose.
Yeah.
And I was given the opportunity there to give my son back. I mean, it came in. It's like you can hand him over. You can exercise your will and trust and let go. And then it might not feel like he was ripped from you. And in all that love and all that beauty and all that peace,
Yeah.
I kissed my little boy and I put him back. And that was it. And then, then I'm back in the hospital bed to the amputation and the colostomy bag and all the issues.
And reality hit in again. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you think then that so you said that this is all your doing actually, or you chose to experience then this, right? I think this is what you're saying.
That's what came through, is that I was the creator of my life.
Yeah.
And the entire universe supported it.
Yeah. But also then the creator of your life, but also of your wife's. I mean, you're not the creator of your wife's life, but is this then something that you made a deal about this whole procedure, I guess, right? Because she also had to create her life and the ending of it.
Yes, and what I mean in that context, and this, I love this conversation because these are the things I sat and I chewed on this for a decade. Like, how do I make sense of this?
I can imagine. Oh my God, yes.
Because yes, number one, life. Well, what's life? I mean, if I was still there very much alive, even though I had left my body,
yeah,
then there is no death.
No.
There is no death. So it's not like, well, that life's over, we're done. I mean, what I knew in those arms is that I was eternal. Wow. And if I'm eternal, we're all eternal. We're eternal beings of light having a human experience. Yeah. And in this human experience, this soul group, and that's, I've become a big believer in soul groups. We all agreed to do it this way, this time.
Yeah.
The souls would expand in such a way.
Yeah.
And, and someday I really, truly believe this, like, I'll go back there and we'll all gather and we'll cry and we'll laugh and we'll say, wasn't that a trip? And what do you want to do now? What should we create this time around?
Yeah, it's beautiful that you say that, because I came here with my friend who's working here as well, and we drove together because it's in the north of Holland, the studio. So we had a long drive, and we were talking about the interview I was going to do with you and about your story. And she told me that she once had an ayahuasca experience in which she also had to say she saw the same thing about this whole soul group, and that you see that actually, that I because I told her probably you're buddy with that person, when we're out of this life, you're buddy with him. In this life, she kind of hates him. You can imagine it's her ex. And then she said, yeah, well, that's funny because I had this experience and I saw that we came here together and we just chose, the roles that we were playing. We all agreed on playing the parts to give each other this experience in this life. And yes. I think this is such a beautiful, it's so sad actually that we don't know this, because we believe actually everything that we see only with our eyes. And that's the sad part of it, because there is so much more than that. It's not the real or the whole story to it. And I think this is also something that we have to overcome in this life, is to see beyond this.
Oh, yes. And yet it's so difficult. It's so, when you're in it.
Yes, it's terrible.
I've been told, and I work with so many different spiritual groups. I love the indigenous people here in the Americas. They have so much ancient wisdom, but I've heard it called an illusion. You're coming into this illusion. However, when we're in it, when these catastrophic things happen, it does not feel like an illusion.
No, because we believe it's real. We believe this is it. Yeah.
And we experience it as real. And yet I've come to this conclusion. We experience it as real because if we knew the whole game, or if we didn't experience it as real, our soul wouldn't get the wisdom that it gets. It wouldn't be, if it was a video game or that simple, we'd just say, okay, game over, I'm moving on to the next thing. But it's real. Yeah. And we experience it in such a tangible way that's where the growth comes. And that's where we have to dig deep into our own soul to find a way through it.
But not everybody, and most of us, are not having these kind of experiences. So, I mean, it's been a terrible experience for you. But on the other side, I mean, you've been given something beautiful as well. I mean, you could also just have had the accident without the whole near-death experience, and then it was probably way worse. I mean, the not knowing that everything was okay with your wife and your little kid. I mean, why do you think that some people get to experience these kind of things? I mean, I know there are kind of a lot of people who are, but most of them not. So what do you think?
That you ask the $1 million questions. I love this.
Great.
Yes, I wondered that. Now, see, and it's very personal because my own son, Spencer, who survived the accident, as a child, he's 7 years old, and he didn't have a near-death experience. He didn't have the experiences I had. He had lost his mother. He had lost his brother. He had lost his father in many ways. I was never going to be the same, and he had to navigate that as a child, and he grew, and he was my best support. But when he became, a young man, he's like, Dad, this doesn't make sense. You speak of angels and visitations and other realms, and he's like, I got nothing. Yeah. And he said, I beat my knuckles bloody on that thing you call God, and I got nothing. And I was a little boy. I mean, he was angry,
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
So he said, maybe you're deceived. Maybe the oxygen was cut off to your brain and you were hallucinating this all, or you're making it up. Or if there is a higher power or something greater than I am, it doesn't care about me.
Oh, wow. That must.
He's like, I was a little boy. Yeah. I was, and I have watched his healing, because you're so right. Not everyone has these experiences. Oh. And, as he grew and matured, and he came to me at one point and said, Dad, maybe I'm God's light. Maybe I'm God's hands. Maybe, he said, maybe I can be that person here, tangible, in this third dimension. And he did. He got involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters. He was doing an after-school rock and roll program for kids. I mean, it was their therapy. It was beautiful. They, he'd have these 10-year-olds up there doing Metallica and expressing healing, and he's now fallen in love and married a beautiful girl, Ashley, my daughter. I call her my daughter. She's my daughter-in-law, but she's my daughter. Yeah, of
course. I get it. Yeah.
And now they've had a child, this little maverick. I'm a grandfather.
Wow.
And Spencer's become the most compassionate, grounded, inspired person I know. Yeah. He is a very beautiful person, and he didn't have the experience. He had to navigate it, and he may not believe like I believe, but he has compassion and he has empathy, and that is divine.
That is beautiful.
If we lose our humanity, then we've lost anything that is divine in us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it is a hard road to walk. I mean, this is the path that he took, because for him there was no proof, right, that it was going to be all right. And so it's a beautiful given thing that you were able to know that your wife was okay. And but still you were having a lot of grief and a lot of guilt, although you knew that they were okay. Was that also after you held your little son Griffin, what you just told us, when you knew that he was all right, that everything was fine with them, that they were back home and that it was good? Was your guilt and your grief, was it still as terrible as it was before? It was at the end of your hospital stay, right? So it was probably...
That was the end of the hospital stay, and I would love to say, that healed it all. No. I grieved miserably I still cry sometimes, even talking about it.
Yeah.
Grief.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. And Spencer, my oldest son, we wrote a children's book. When he got a little older, he wanted to write a children's book for kids. And we found out it wasn't a children's book at all. It's for anybody who misses someone without this profound experience. But grief, I grieved as miserably as anybody grieves.
Yeah.
And I had to heal that. And everything was an external force to me. Even being held in the arms of the divine, that was an external force. It wasn't until I chose to heal it from the inside of me out that there was ever any relief.
Yeah.
And yet grief is so intense. And in writing this children's book, we worked on it and collaborated together. We realized that grief may be the most magnificent form of love there is. I mean, we grieve because we loved. And therefore, grief might be the deepest human experience of love. Yeah. And therefore, even the grief is a gift. Yeah. Even the grief expands our soul and wow, it deepens our capacity to love and for compassion and for empathy. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I think also in our physical reality, it's just the missing, the physical missing of someone. Although you know everything is all right, I think this is something very big in our reality, right? I mean, this is just something you can't let go of easily if you have loved so deeply.
Yeah, a dear friend of mine said, grief is like a stone you carry in your pocket.
Yeah, it's heavy.
It never goes away, but you get used to the weight. You get used to the weight. Yeah. And I think that's it. I don't know that I haven't gotten over it. I don't know that we ever get over it. I think we get used to it. Yeah. We get used to it.
Yeah. There was this beautiful story in your book also about when you were just, I think you were in the hospital for a couple of months and you got a visit from a doctor and a woman and a man, yes. Right? Could you tell this story? Because it was, I mean, I think this is such a great story, especially because it was a doctor who was telling this.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I was in surgical recovery in the hospital. And they had just barely let visitors begin to come in. You know, visitors were coming in and they were people from my work. They were people from my neighborhood. They had let immediate family members see me, but that was all for some time. So this was at least a month after the accident when they were allowing people to see me. And a man and a woman came in and I couldn't place them. I'm like, gosh, they're not from work. I don't recall them from my neighborhood. No. And they were in pedestrian street clothes when they came in, and I assumed they might be a couple, but the man went and stood over and leaned against the wall, and the woman came and sat by my bed, and the woman did all the talking. She said, "We wanted to come see you. We were part of your original trauma team." And she was a registered nurse, and he was an emergency care physician. Yeah. And then I realized, I don't know them, but how kind. Yeah. Wow, why would they come see me?
Thank you.
You know, it was small talk. She said, "We were so concerned. We're glad you're doing so well." And then she became emotional. And she said, I've got to tell you why we've come. She said, when we were in the emergency room and working on you there was 5 specialists. There was, respiratory and orthopedic and all the different people that had to deal with the injuries that I was experiencing. But she said, when I came into the room, she said, your wife's spirit was in the operating room. Yeah. And she said, I saw her. And they didn't know me. They didn't know I had this profound experience.
And you were still unconscious, right? You were still not there. Yeah.
No, yeah, we and I looked over at the doctor, the guy standing against the wall, who had simply told me he was the attending emergency physician. Yeah. And I looked at him and he said, yeah. And he said, I saw her too. And he said, not necessarily with my physical eyes, but she was there. And he said, she was standing in the air above your gurney. And she began to communicate with me. Now, I became emotional. I'm like, wow, what did she say? And he looked at me and he said, she simply shared her gratitude for what we were doing to save your life.
Oh my God, wow.
I burst into tears. I mean, number one, like, of course she did. That's who she is and who she was. And I thought, and wow, they had no idea, the doctor and the nurse had no idea that we had made this deal, that I had said, I'll come back. And so there she was, right there with me in the room, seeing that all the things were done to save my life. Yeah. And they obviously did a beautiful job. Yeah. I should not be here. I mean, if the accident alone didn't kill me, all the complications afterwards certainly could have. Yeah. And the doctor and I have become very good friends. His name is Dr. Jeff O'Driscoll.
The one who came to you that moment. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's amazing.
He is still my friend 30 years after the fact, because I then felt inspired. I thought, well, you know, I had told just my mother and my younger brother what I had experienced in this out-of-body time of the accident. I hadn't even had the experience yet at the end of my hospital stay, but I shared with the doctor I had an experience too, and I seriously thought, okay, if I share with him, he's opened this door, and if I'm crazy, he can put me in the psych ward and get me the help that I need. But I shared that with him, and he listened, and he didn't find me crazy.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And we became good friends. In fact, he left his number for me. He continued to check on me even when I was home.
Amazing. Yeah.
And he's written a book on this. He's written a book about his experiences in the ER, which was not mine alone. He had many profound. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Not Yet.
Not yet.
By Dr. Jeff O'Driscoll. And he's now retired. He was a 25-year emergency room physician in a level 1 trauma center. And he saw and experienced many things beyond my
That's what I wanted to ask you. So he saw that more often.
He saw it more often.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's a profound doctor. You know, this is why I admire these people who they'll share it. I mean, Dr. Pym, it's like, you know, they'll talk about what they know. Yeah. Dr. Jeff O'Driscoll he's talked about what he experienced in the emergency room. Yeah. As a physician. Yeah. And he's not worried about his colleagues, you know, criticizing him for it. He's spoken up.
Yeah, amazing. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, he certainly they worry. You know, it's not in the medical field, at least here in the United States. You don't talk about seeing dead people in the emergency room. You know,
but when did he do that? I mean, did it take him also a while before he came out with it, or because you told me that it took you 10 years before you started to talk about this? Was that for him?
Yes, in fact, it was interesting. After 10 years, and I never intended, oddly enough, to share this publicly.
Really? Why not? Why?
No. It was private. It was personal. It was painful, you know. And I certainly never intended to write a book about it. I went well into it. It was probably, 11 years after the accident. Yeah. And I had a neighbor that came to me, very intuitive and inquiring woman like yourself. She said, something happened to you, didn't it? And I said, yeah, but I don't talk about it.
Really?
And she said, I want to talk about it, you know, and she said, I want to come over later and sit down and I want you to tell me, because she said, I know something happened to you. And so I shared with her what happened. And she said, oh, you've got to come meet this fellow at the university. He's studying this stuff. Yes, this is not as uncommon as you would think. And I was reluctant, but I trusted her and I went, and this fellow did. He studied this. It's like, well, what does a Buddhist experience, or what does an atheist experience? Is this all our conscious, you know, creation, or what does this look like? And I shared with him my story of what happened. And of course I was sobbing, you know, I had a hard time getting through it. And he said, you've got to come speak to our group. And I'm like, no.
No, please.
And he said, no, there's people that are in late stage cancer. They're facing death. There's people there that have lost loved ones and are grieving. You know, this may assist them. And I acquiesced to, okay, I'll go and share this with, it was just with a small group in the city. And I did. And at the end of the speech, and I was blubbering and crying. But this fellow comes up and he said, you're going to write a book. And I said, no, I'm not. No. And he said, I own a publishing company. This is profound. And this was a Friday night. He got my contact information from the fellow at the university. And Monday morning, there was a book contract in my email. A contract. It was, you know, and I'm like, what? And it did confuse me. I ended up going back to the scene of the accident to contemplate this. And I prayed. I reached out to the divine. I said, look, God, there's a contract for a book. I don't want to write a book. People are going to think I'm crazy. People are going to think that I think I'm special in some way, and I don't.
Special.
And well, and this, I'll tell you what, this was the hardest barrier. I said, am I that guy that can collect a royalty check from a book based on the catastrophe that took half my family? And I was driving the car, you know, I mean, it's like, and it was interesting because when I reach out like that, and I don't profess to talk to God every day, but I got a profound answer. I call it the voice that speaks to the heart. And I can quote what I was told. What came flowing in like a voice to my heart said, share your experience and others will heal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, so it's not about me.
No. It's
about others. It's about healing. And again, I was 10, 11 years past the accident.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And I might have been 12 years. I mean, it had been a minute. It had been a while.
Yeah.
And
was it the first time that you went back there, that moment?
I had driven past it, but I'd never stopped.
Okay, yeah.
I'd never gone back and been there.
Okay.
I mean, I was aware where it was. And I actually found out, you know, when I went back to it, my older brother was in law enforcement. And he said, I can tell you exactly where it was. You know, the accident report will say. So I went back, but I got this profound answer. And so I decided to write the book. And I often, you know, I'm like, I don't even write. I didn't fancy myself a writer. I mean, I'm a 2-finger hunt and peck guy on the typewriter. You know, I don't even, the keyboard, I don't even do that. So I embarked just sharing my experience, which was what the voice had said. Share your experience.
Yeah, you told your story. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to put myself in a mindset that who cares? Like my mom will buy a copy. Who cares? You know, nobody's going to read this. And I literally wrote it as if I was just telling the family what happened. And maybe, who knows, maybe my great-great-grandchild will read it and say, wow, that's an interesting story. But I sent it to the publisher, the manuscript, and it was actually quite surprising. I got a phone call. He said to me, what do you mean you don't write? And I said, well, I don't. I've never written. He said, I got the manuscript. I was up till 4 a.m. reading this thing, and I couldn't put it down. And, you know, they released the book. It hit number 3 on Amazon in the first week in the category. And suddenly my life changed drastically. Suddenly I was springboarded into giving lectures on the book, talking about my experience, sharing it publicly. And that's been soul stretching too. You know, it was never my intention. It's not what I wanted to do.
Well, it probably was in the end. Yeah.
Well, it was. And here again, maybe there was that soul contract and that soul group. And I, you know, the letters and the cards and the emails and the things I've gotten from people who have healed, who have found comfort in the book has been mind-blowing.
It is a beautiful book. It is as if you're listening to someone who's telling you this personal story. It really is. I mean, it feels that way. It feels very personal. And I think the fact that it was such a, and still probably is such a success, also means that there's so many more people who needed to hear this, or who needed the comfort, or to know that they were not the only one who experienced something like this, or losing people.
Yeah.
And what do you think? What do you think that it's? I mean, for you, a world must have opened after that, right? About people who had the same experiences, or how was that for you?
Yes, yes. I mean, suddenly I'm with Anita Moorjani and Eben Alexander and Suzanne Giesman. I mean, suddenly I'm presenting with the who's who of the near-death experience. Dr. Raymond Moody, reached out to me, and so suddenly, yes, I was in that circle. But here's what I feel is everyone experiences sorrow and grief. Everybody at some point is going to lose someone they love.
Yeah.
And the message I'm sharing is, yes, we lose them and it hurts, but they're never lost. They're never gone. They transform into guardian angels, if you will, that look out for us, that watch over us, that cheer us on. My angels probably laugh at me a lot. They're probably like, "Oh, brother, here he goes again." And so the message is universal. Yeah. And it's also a message of what I learned, that we are all connected. We're all one. We have different belief systems and different cultures and different races and different genders. And yes, there's diversity. And how beautiful is that? Yeah. I mean, what divinity wouldn't create a colorful, diverse playground for us to be on? Yeah. And within it, we have choice. And yet we are all loved, we are all cherished, we're all connected. And the closer we come to realizing that what I do to or for someone else, I'm doing to myself. And if we could lock arms in love and raise humanity to a different way of being, a different consciousness, then that's worth writing the book. I guess that's worth giving a speech. That's worth sitting on a Zoom call and crying again about the emotions. And I that's, success. I don't know, I mean, what does success look like? Maybe success is simply being happy, and finding joy and choosing joy and
doing what you love, I guess, right? And being with the people that you love. Yeah. But how does this work in your daily life? Is this something that you, I mean, of course, you keep it in mind because it's a part of your story. But how does this change your reality?
Some days it doesn't. To be honest, no, I still have challenges.
You're grumpy as hell.
I still get hurt deeply. Yeah. And then I remember, and I do have my spiritual practices where, gosh, I'll take a moment and I'll go within. I'll connect with something greater than I am. And for me, it's nature. Sometimes I just need to go sit on a rock and listen to the trees and then get myself
disconnected from the rest.
It did change me. I mean, it did change me. I used to be a red personality, go fight, win, beat the other guy, conquer the world. And I've certainly become softer. I've certainly become, I cry easily. I laugh easily. It changed me. I've learned that what I judge in another only exists within myself. And so let's sort myself out and love bigger and love deeper. Beautiful. And that's a challenge. And yet I know that's what we're here to do.
And the knowing that we're all connected, that we're all one. How did you get that? Why? How do you know that? Was that told by that divine being that embraced you when you were seeing?
Yes, it was that, knowing there's so much love, feeling the divine love, and it did feel like the entire universe was surrounding me, watching my silly little life, and also in the hospital to pass strangers, if you will, and feel their lives, the challenges in their lives, and yet seeing them in such love. I still have experiences sometimes. I mean, I've shared this one before, but one day, and this was just, this was a few years ago, but I was coming out of the office. I still work full time. I'm going through the city. I came out, there was a homeless man. We have homeless people that they're down and out, and many are addicts, or they've fallen hard on their luck. But here's this gentleman, and he's homeless, and he reeks of alcohol and body odor. And I mean, he's rough, right? But he comes up to me as I come out onto the street of the city, and he wants, he wants money. And I am fully supportive of assisting others, but I was in a hurry and I wanted to go, and I don't want to deal with this right now. And so I still have my normal human days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got a whisper. Something said, just look at him.
Okay.
And so I did. I looked right into his eyes. And this was an interesting scenario, because suddenly, right before my eyes, I'm like, wow, I saw my brothers, the ones that had stood by my side, all the way through this and beyond. And then I saw myself. And I thought, wow, had I not had the family support, had I not had the health insurance I had, I would have been the guy strung out on the corner wondering what happened, Yeah. And there was this compassion, there was this love, and I saw this in him. I saw my brothers, I saw my father, I saw myself. And then I saw the divine. I mean, suddenly there I was looking into the face of God.
Wow.
And I mean, it was bizarre but beautiful. And I threw my arms around him. I just held him. I just hugged this guy, and I started to weep, and he started to weep. I mean, here was two grown men in the city street embracing each other, crying. And I said to him, and it's almost like I said it without being aware of it. It's like I heard myself say to him, I know who you are. And he said to me, I know that you know. It was this profound moment where I saw the divinity in him, and I would have given him everything in my wallet. And at that point, he didn't want money anymore. He just wanted to be seen and recognized and honored.
Beautiful.
And that's one experience of how this has happened beyond, where I know we're one. I know that I am him and he is me. And even in my Christian background, biblical verses, when Jesus would say, when I was hungry, you fed me. And when I was naked, you clothed me. And when I was a stranger, you took me in. And the people asked, well, when did we do that? Well, inasmuch as you've done it unto the least of one of these, you've done it unto me. Now, I used to think that was a nice biblical thing about being nice. No, what this master was teaching is we are connected. We are one. I am the man in prison. I am the beggar in the street. I am the stranger that simply wants acceptance. And the divinity is alive in all of us. And that's where I've come to this oneness, this connection that we are one. And I know that's a very long answer and explanation.
No, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful answer. How do you think that we could bring this more into our lives for people who don't experience these kind of things? How do you think we could practice more, being more aware of each other, less judgmental and more caring?
I do this sometimes at events or when I'm speaking, and there'll be a group of people there. Sometimes it's been, almost 1,000 people, but I will have them stand up and go to someone they do not know and look into their eyes. They say the eyes are the window to the soul. Mm. Don't say anything, don't gesture anything. Don't even touch each other. Just look into the eyes. And I've seen within moments, even setting ground rules like you don't have to touch each other, I've seen absolute strangers embracing and weeping and connecting soul to soul to truly connect to another human being.
Yeah, amazing.
You can't deny it. Yeah, you can't deny it.
No.
You can't deny the oneness when we put that aside. And, you know, it's not romantic. It's not sexual. It's spiritual. It's like, let's connect. Let's look at each other and see each other. And although I've done that with strangers in the group, do that with someone you love.
Yeah.
I mean, do that with someone that is in your life that you care about, and look in their eyes and see them, truly see their soul and their heart. And the oneness is undeniable.
Yeah, that's
in
beautiful.
many
That's beautiful. And you were just talking about your soul group. We were talking about the soul group that you come in with, I guess. Do you think that we're coming back in a new life, that we reincarnate?
I am open to that possibility. There was nothing in my near-death experience that said, oh, there's reincarnation. However, I've had many experiences where it's like, wow, I've been here before, but I haven't, unless it's in a past life. I believe we are eternal beings, and there's no limits to what we experience and what we do and how many times we come back, or how many, I mean, who knows how many civilizations or planets there are in this endless galaxy where we might go somewhere else and have an experience too. We're eternal beings, and there's no limits. And I've had many inklings in ancient times, like Egyptian or Native American or ancient Celtic. I mean, it's like, well, how would I know this unless I knew? Now, I may have been observing from afar, or I may have been right in it.
Yeah.
I am totally open to reincarnation and lives eternal.
Yeah. Why not then, right? If this is just a suit that we're wearing, then we can change it maybe sometimes. Yeah,
why not? And soul groups, absolutely. Families or soul groups.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be blood family. I have family that's not blood.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think we have chosen, and even maybe have contracts, to show up in each other's lives and behave the way we behave. And wow, relationships are our biggest teacher. They're the ones that really expand our souls.
Yeah. And it can be hard sometimes too.
Oh, yes, it is. Very challenging. Yeah.
Very challenging sometimes. No, for sure. And also, I believe that, I mean, within relationships, that you can walk a path together for a while and then split because your part is over in somebody's story, I guess.
That happens. Yeah. And that has happened to me.
Yeah.
And I haven't spoken about this publicly at all. But Tanya, my second wife, the woman I married after Tamara, we have gone our separate ways. And it was painful. It was not my choice.
Okay.
It was not my choice. It hurt deeply.
Okay.
And I became aware that perhaps I haven't talked about this. Forgive me. It's like perhaps divorce is harder than death. You know, I mean, in death, Tamara, I knew she loved me. She left this world holding my hand.
Yeah.
And I knew where she was because of the experience. It wasn't theology, like I was there.
Yeah.
And there was also the finality that she wasn't coming back, right?
Yeah.
But when relationships end, the I don't love you anymore, or I love someone else, or I love you differently, or I love you, but I don't want to be with you, whatever that scenario is.
All kind of ways, yeah.
That hurts, and also you don't know where they are. And then there's always, they're still with us. And I will always love, and I'll always honor, and I'll always cherish the time I spend with anyone. But that has been a whole new lesson in this scenario for me. And
I can imagine that's hard. It's hard
it's
in another way.
It's been a few years, and I'm healing, and I'm learning. And that's the bottom line. The purpose of life to me is to learn. Yeah. And we only learn through experience. Yeah. And experience is the only true teacher. And the universe loves us enough to give us vast experiences of sorrow and grief and of bliss and joy. And we get to have it all.
Yeah. Well, it certainly hasn't been boring for you, that's for sure.
No, I think I said, give me the whole ticket. I want the full feature
that's what
film
you
and the
did.
dates and the popcorn. Give me all of it.
You signed up for a lot, really. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, Jeffrey, thank you so much for your story. I think it's such a beautiful story, and still, I think 29 years later, it's so important for people to know this, and to hear it from as many people as possible. I also spoke with Dr. Ibn Alexander, and his story is profound in his way. It's also a beautiful story, and I think this is so important, that there is no death or abrupt end to a life, and there's still a part that it's still okay. I think this is very healing for people. So I really want to thank you very much for today.
I'm so honored. So honored. Thank you. I'm so honored.
Well, I know that you have to leave. Otherwise, I would like to talk with you for a couple more hours. But I know that you're on the schedule. But thank you so much again. And I hope to read more from you. I hope there's coming. Is there coming more from you? Are you writing books? Anything happening in the future?
The children's book, Where Are You, is out there.
Okay.
Of course, Knowing is the compilation of the first 2 books I wrote, and that's there. It has extended chapters. I may be re-releasing. There's whole new chapters in my life to write.
Yeah.
And I may write more. I'm working full-time right now with a small television network, a content provider. We're creating shows and films that are value-based, not religious-based, but value-based for families. So that BYU TV. And I think you can get internationally. It's an app you can download, and there's everything from
that's amazing.
comedy.
I will do that. I will do that for sure. Okay, thank you.
Comedy to reality TV, and it's fun. I mean, we do one. Tanya and I adopted 2 boys, and we have a show where adopted adults get to go find and reconnect with their birth parents.
Oh wow!
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, you talk about soul groups, and and it's a lot. In fact, I have my two sons, my younger sons, Zach and Aiden, are living with me. We're all in the same house. It's a house full of men right now, but it's anyway. That's just one little scenario. We've done so many things.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, that's great.
Everything else, it's good stuff.
Yeah, you wrote about your 2 adopted sons in your book as well. Yeah,
Yes.
I really would say please read the book to everyone because it's such a beautiful story. I mean, I've been reading it. I told you I've been reading it on my way to Australia in the plane and back. It was many hours, and I've been crying reading it. I mean, it was just so beautiful. So I want to thank you.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to say goodbye to you, and once again, thank you so much for coming here today.
All right, and thank you for the work you do. If I can support you in any way.
Well,
reach out.
That would be great. Thank you. Bye. Okay. Ciao. Dankjewel voor het kijken. Als jij deze uitzending ook interessant vond, we hebben nog veel meer interessante podcasts. En je kunt natuurlijk onze app downloaden of jezelf abonneren op ons kanaal.